Hey guys, and welcome to the Women Going Big podcast. It's Krista, your host, and I just want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Women Going Big in Business. I've had a lot of international guests, and I'm super excited about this one as well. I want to welcome Kamala Devi to the show today. Kamala Devi is, give me just a second. I'm going to pull up her bio. She's a professional life coach and business consultant who specializes in mindset and personal development strategy. She teaches entrepreneurs and people in management how to balance their lives and thrive. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail because I want her to kind of tell you her story and what she's been up to and how she got here. So go ahead and take it away and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Krista. So I've been doing professional life coaching and mindset training since September 2017, when I co-founded Revive, our business, with my sister Soshini. Revive really started at a time when I was shifting my mindset. I was shifting my focus from the lack of resources and the lack of money and the struggle to feeling into more abundance and feeling more gratitude for life and looking at the things that were really working in my life rather than those that were not working. So it was really a mindset shift. It was really implementing a personal development strategy so that I can really feel more ease and flow in my life.
Yeah.
Because at that time I was pregnant with my second son, and I was doing online proofreading and editing. And because my pregnancies were so back-to-back, it was just like 8 months after my first delivery that I got back pregnant. I really wasn't in a position to like go at that pace anymore and to deliver exceptionally anymore. And I really just wanted more ease and flow. I just didn't want to be the hustler anymore for money.
Yeah.
And while doing the personal development work, like you really learn about yourself and you really learn about attracting rather than seeking. So that's where I was, and I was like, Soshini, let's just do it. And it was really at a great time. I didn't really start it with a business strategy in place, so I had a little bit of a challenge at the beginning because it was just for the love of it, and it was really just for the ease and flow. But I was really creative in the process. Like I've always been putting good content out. I've always been able to establish myself. So when I did implement a business strategy, it really just helped me and the business to evolve and to help those that we were working with to evolve. So it was really all about mindset training, being able to look at our momentum, work on our momentum, really to heal those stuff that are just draining our energy and pulling us down, and coaching, career coaching, life coaching, helping people to really thrive in both their personal and their professional lives.
I love that. And there's a couple things that you mentioned that I want to dive a little bit deeper on. One of those being, and this has been a topic of conversation, it seems like a theme for me in these conversations, but you talked a lot about like transformation, and when you started this, you were in a place of personal development, and you were really diving in deeper on the things that made you you and the things that really matter to you. And now you're on the other side of that. So you were going through it, and now you're on the other side of the personal development. And for those, and I just want you to dive a little bit deeper on what it's like to be on the back end of that, to come out stronger, more self-empowered, just living your life 100% and authentically yourself. What is that like? Because I know I have a lot of listeners that are in the middle of it right now and don't know what it's like on the other side.
Well, on the other side, it's pure bliss. I don't know how else to describe it, but just pure bliss. Like really owning your truth and standing in your power and know when you can say no politely without feeling the guilt or the fear of it.
Yeah.
And, just showing up authentically and resonating with people as you show up. I mean, like society would have programmed us so much since we're born and come into the world that, there's specific ways of thinking and specific ways of behaving that you're expected to conform to. And when we don't, like it does trigger a reaction among the people. People pull us down and they talk about us and they gossip. And they really take on this negative approach that doesn't empower us as individuals. And the more we keep on growing, especially in the career world, especially coming out of a school system, it's more competitive that we can become. And because we're not like matching the expectations and we're not able to live up to people's definition of what you
Yeah.
should do and should think and how you should behave, it really tells on us, tells on our confidence and our esteem. So now I don't have those problems anymore, because one of my major challenge whilst growing was that I was always a fast elevator. In other words, like, I have been able to achieve really great things at a young age. And because that wasn't in alignment with my environment, like, for example, when I was teaching, I landed a teaching job soon after I finished my undergraduate. And I started to teach university at that level too, just because of who I was and what I was capable of.
Yeah.
And that in itself made me a target for competition. So like, when you're sitting in the middle, like, there's so many challenges that you face, and there's such a huge fight within you and a fight outside of you, so that you really need to know yourself. You need to know what you're worth. You need to be confident in who you are and own your gifts, own your talents, own your skills. Because only then, when you own you and you're able to communicate you in such a way that people really understand you. Like, back in my days when I was a target for competition, like, I could have allowed that to floor me. I could have allowed that to really pull me down and not help me to shine my light. But I didn't. I chose at that time, I'm just going to keep doing me. Whoever is affected by it, as long as I am not intentionally hurting them, they have to sort themselves out. They have to find their way. But for me, I was just giving myself permission to keep doing me. And the more I took that approach, is the more I found that success was always, like, in the click of a finger. So for me, it is super important that we have a personal development plan in place, that we do work on ourselves, that we own our voice, that we know who we really are, we can own our gifts, and really allow ourselves to bloom and shine. Because if you don't do it for you, no one else will give you that space to do it. It has to come from you first. Yeah.
I love that. And I want to make sure that I catch something right there, because I think it's so important. You said, let your light shine, regardless of what your competition is, regardless of who's watching you. It doesn't matter. And that's something, like, there's so many podcasts out there, like, why should I do just another podcast, and let alone a woman's podcast? There's so many women's podcasts out there, but the fact that, like, I'm here trying to empower and encourage and inspire women to go big in everyday life. Like, you don't have to do anything crazy. Like, again, just own you. Just own what you're doing. Own your light. Be you. But what I wanted to touch on, that I got a little sidetracked, but when women are in that stage of, they're just starting to come into themselves, and I know what that feeling's like, because I was just there, but you're like on the edge of something. You're like, oh, like I want more. I want more out of life, and what I'm doing just isn't going to cut it. What advice can you give women that are right there on the edge of coming fully into themselves and, like, owning their true authentic self? Like, what are the steps that they can take to fully make that next big step?
First thing that I would say is make that decision.
Yeah.
What do you want? You have to make that decision within you. What kind of life do you want to live? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to show up as? Who do you want people to know you as? When you make that decision inside of you, every other step that you take just perfectly aligns. But the decision has to come from you. If you're on the edge and you're thinking, what will people think of me? People will just laugh at me, or I'll just look like a fool in front of people. Then that in itself will prevent you from being successful in taking that first step towards your authenticity. You need to block out that noise. You need to let go of that, and you really need to own you. Now, owning you is not easy, because the environment that you're so accustomed to, the people that are in your environment, you feel this level of intimidation by them. You feel the kind of fear of showing yourself authentically to them. I mean, one day you may like vanilla ice cream, and then another day you may totally hate it. Like, when you have drastic changes like that, it does affect the people around you. But this is where you have to learn how to communicate your changes in a way that it doesn't threaten anyone, it doesn't hurt anyone, but it leaves you and them feeling empowered. And that's something that I find many of my clients, especially our startup entrepreneurs, struggle with. That, you know, they have this beautiful business idea. They want to go big. They want to shine their light and they want to show the world what they can offer. And then when you ask them, and trust me, this was even one of my struggles. When I was asked by my coach, are you ready to take your family with you? I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to show them who I was. I wasn't ready to own my voice and speak authentically. And I find lots of startup entrepreneurs have this same problem. You have to be able to own you. And even if you're trying to do it in such a way that, you know, it doesn't make you look all goofy or as if you're into any woohoo or, you know, any hocus pocus. If you're, you know, if you're really trying not to bring that out, because not everyone is going to be as spiritual as you, or not everyone is going to, you know, connect to what you have to offer, then find a way, think around it, be creative with your gift, and look at how you can integrate it into society seamlessly. And I say that because even that was one of my challenges too. Like when I first started out, I started out extremely spiritual because that was the path I was walking to find myself.
Yeah.
And like I was opening up to all my gifts, especially my intuitive gifts, and you know, your clairvoyance, your clear cognizance, and everything, all of my clairs. I was really opening up, and I used to use the tarot cards for guidance because my faith was shaken for a bit, and I found that I was really good with the cards, and readings was really one of the services that I offered. But I wasn't ready to tell everybody, look, I can read a card for you. I can pull a card for you. And this is the message the universe has for you. I wasn't ready to step out like that. But then when I thought about it and I looked at it, I was like, you know, it's pretty interesting because this comes down back to how the world defines it. This is nothing, you know, it's really nothing strange. We're doing it all the time. We're reading the signs from the universe all the time. I mean, if I believe that I could open a book and choose a statement and that really resonated with a message I needed in the moment, right? That's what it is. So, I mean, pulling a card for someone or, you know, interpreting a dream and doing that level of work is absolutely nothing strange. We're doing it all the time, every day. We're just not giving it this special meaning or tag or name that society has given it, that, you know, you're extremely spiritual or you're gifted. I mean, we're all gifted. If we just tap into our gifts, we can do the same thing, you know? So it was really, I think it's really important that we recognize who we are. We use that, and we look at it in such a way that we can integrate seamlessly. And it doesn't have to feel as a threat to us, or we don't have to feel threatened by society in any way. And at the same time, look at the tagline behind it. Look at the definition society has given it. And know to yourself that you have the power to choose that. You have the power to change it as well. And from there, that's where you start. Just keep on elevating. You keep on taking that step forward, keep on moving upward, and you will definitely be able to bloom and be yourself. You know, there's so much of freedom and so much of love and ease and flow in just being yourself.
Yeah. I love this conversation so much, and just kind of how it's really, it's not even scratching the surface on like self-love and self-care and just stepping into yourself 100%. And as a business owner, you know, and this is what I wanted to bring up earlier, but when you talked about the competitive market, which is something, you know, we always talk about who we are and just living authentically, but a lot of times, like, we don't talk about going into a competitive market and not trying to be like everybody else, you know. And that's one thing that I want to jump in. I want to go a little bit deeper on, because so many times we feel the societal pressure and the entrepreneurial pressure to not succeed, but to achieve, to be a high achiever. And to do that, we need to do what other people do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But how can somebody take what somebody else is doing and make it their own? How can they own it 100% themselves and separate themselves from the competition?
Okay, so I'll give you this from my experience. So I used to feel that it's very hard to break into the online market, that it's very hard to offer life coaching and attract your ideal clients, right? But then when I looked at my mindset, because I teach mindset, I was like, these are the thoughts that are blocking me from moving forward. These are the exact thoughts that are not making me attract the people that I want to work with.
Yeah.
Now, because I had this level of mindset and I wasn't getting to where I wanted to go, I did look at my competitors. I looked at what people were doing, other people were doing in the coaching industry, the way they were delivering, the kind of messages that they create, what kind of posts would generate leads and those kind of things. Now, I use the ideas, I use the strategies to push me forward because they're all marketing strategies. And I think that's like for me in the coaching industry, that's where my level of competition is. Just to learn a new strategy, just to learn a new hack into the online world. How do you reach people? The people who you want to reach. How do you
Yeah.
become seen and heard? And that's how I use the information that's out there from my competitors to really help me to move my business forward.
Yeah.
I don't use their content. I don't use their strategies or their techniques. I teach and I coach from experiential learning, which means that I really do it from what would have worked on me, from my various life situations, from me being able to revive from so many challenges in my life, and what I apply to me to help me to be successful. So that is what I coach on. But I know that there are lots of entrepreneurs out there who I've worked with too that would look at their competitors and they would try to recreate their content, and they would try to use the same content too with just their name and brand, and I don't encourage that. And that's why for me a huge part in my signature momentum training is to really help people to look at their personal life in addition to their professional life, and what is your strategy for both aspects of your lives, and how true are you being in both aspects of your life. I mean, if you're going to do something for the sake of the money, if you're going to do it because you just need to bag another client, then you're gonna experience short-term success. And then that's where you have to decide how long do you want your business to live? How long do you want to sustain it for, right? So it comes down back to you and vision building and knowing yourself, knowing your gifts to such an extent, and using it in a creative way that you can really teach if you want to teach, you can share if you want to share, but really pull people towards you if that is what you're aiming for. But competition for me just is, it's great to bring out my creativity because I just use their strategies and I think of, that's interesting, and how can I use that now and implement it in my business? How can I tweak it in such a way that I can still get what I want, but not take all of their stuff?
And I think that's important to remember for people that are interested in breaking into an industry that's already really full. So I have a background in social media management, and you could throw a rock and hit a social media manager. And I think it took me, I've been in business for, 4 or 5 years now. And honestly, I didn't really start realizing the power of what I did until about 2. So it took me just about half as long or twice as long as I've been in business to figure out like what my powers are in that. But I also decided that that's not where my power is. I'm good at it, but that's not where my power lies. And I think for anybody out there that's interested in jumping into an industry that's so full and saturated already, just own you. Just be you and just do what you love. And I think that paired with the strategy will take you, like you said, you just have to make the decision to go, and everything else is going to fall into place.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love, for people, because I know a lot of people out there are probably overthinkers, or deep thinkers is what I like to call it. And they just, they think so deeply about doing it. They have paralysis analysis, where they get stuck in the deciding and they don't do. So what can you tell anybody listening that if they're on the brink of deciding to start a business, or they want to do something for themselves, how can they be confident in their choice moving forward that it's the right choice?
Meditate on that vision. That's the first thing I would say. You
Mm-hmm.
meditate on your vision. If you have a
Oh.
vision, if you know
Mm-hmm.
there's something like if there's a spark within you, but you're still not sure,
Yeah.
because this is where your logical mind is going to kick in and say, yo, you can't do that. It doesn't matter. You know, the industry is already full. Who's going to care about what you're doing? Who's going to
Yeah.
care about seeing you? And, you know, like if you have that voice within you that speaks to you at that level, then
Mm-hmm.
you want to address that voice. But you don't
Yeah.
address it with your eyes open. You don't
Mm-hmm.
address it in the physical environment. You go
Mm-hmm.
within because it's within you. So go
Yeah.
within and you talk to it, and also show it the vision that you have in your heart,
Yeah.
and talk to yourself in
Mm-hmm.
that meditative state about that vision. You
Mm-hmm.
go through the fight internally and you have that communication internally. That
Mm-hmm.
way, whatever is within your subconscious mind reveals itself. That way, you get a little clearer on your vision. That way, you also make the decision of whether or not you're going to go ahead or you're going to take a few steps backwards. And most times, you find, especially with me working with so many people over time, I find that most entrepreneurs, when they use this technique and they go within, they always come out back with a
Yeah.
full strategy. They always know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what they want to do and the steps they're going to take to do it, because they just spend some time communicating with that voice that's within them and fixing that negative self-talk at the same time.
Yeah. I
It's
love
important
that.
that we meditate, yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that I hear a lot too, just taking a step back and listening to yourself, because it all ties back to, societal pressures and what we should be doing and who we should be and, that kind of thing. And I think that a lot of people get hung up on that.
Yeah.
They create their sense of self around who they should be and what they should be doing, and they
Hmm.
forget about what they want.
Exactly.
I don't think people dive in themselves enough to know, excuse me, to know what they really want. So I love that. And then, before we start to wrap up, I do want you to dive a little bit more into what your business looks like right now, how you're helping your clients, any programs that you might have going on. But give us a little snapshot of what your business looks like right now.
Well, Revive has really been reviving since my last pregnancy a year ago. So
Mm-hmm.
I've had like a 6 period of not being very consistent because of my last pregnancy.
Yeah.
And so she too, she was going through some changes during that time, but we've always been present. And that's the main
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like you're always putting content out there, you're always engaging people.
Yeah.
But since my last pregnancy and where I'm at now, like we're all out for more visibility. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm deliberately taken a lot of steps on becoming more visible online. Like recently, I've been accepted as an executive contributor to the Brains magazine, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been making a lot of podcasts and doing a lot of interviews. So, you know, I'm deliberately taking steps to be more visible and to
Mm-hmm.
spread my web message on achieving work-life balance so that persons can really understand that, yo, this is something that's in your control. No matter what
Mm-hmm.
you think and feel, it's in within your control. And
Yeah.
the minute you make that decision to have it, you're going to have it.
Yeah.
So I'm more out there taking those kind of steps. Right now, I actually have a 5 days challenge coming up on September 1st. And I offer also a free assessment on how persons can really restore balance to their personal and professional lives on our website,
Mm-hmm.
revive.coach. It's no www, just revive.coach and / Wheel of Life. It's a Wheel of Life assessment. And that really gives you an understanding of where you are in your life and the factors that are influencing the balance that you currently have in the various areas of your life. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, you may find that you're very low in your fun and recreation area because you don't have the money to go on the vacation that you want to go
Mm-hmm.
on. So, I mean, when you do the assessment, you get a broader picture of the story you're telling yourself, of the
Yeah.
beliefs that you hold. And because of these beliefs, that is creating your reality, right? So, you
Mm-hmm.
want to work around your beliefs. You want to shift your story so that you can create a better reality in both your personal and your professional life. So
Mm-hmm.
that is a free assessment that we offer on the website, revive.coach / Wheel of Life. And from there, persons can choose to work with me on a one-on-one in the momentum training for personal and professional life balance. And they can also connect with our various social media on the website. If there's the Instagram, the YouTube, and Facebook links there. So we're all about going big right now. We're all about, becoming more visible and spreading our message, in particular on how we can achieve a better work-life balance And especially since the pandemic and many people are now forced to be at home, we're
Yeah.
finding that lots of entrepreneurs, especially in people in management, they're finding it difficult to manage their the person who they need to be for work and who they need to be as a parent and a
Yeah.
householder. So that's what is really happening with us at this time.
I love that. And you actually answered, so that was my last question of how people can get in touch with you. And you just kind of bundled that all together, so that's perfect. So your website's revive.coach. And then for social media, how would they find you on social media?
They can check our website. It's Revive Intuitive Life Coaching for Living
Okay.
Abundantly. Or they can check my name, Kamala Devi Sharma. There's
Okay.
also a free community on our Facebook page. It's Revive and Thrive with Kamala Devi Sharma. That is our free community. I offer free support in there, and that's where a lot of the action takes place. That's where a lot of people get guidance, and I'm constantly doing coaching there, especially since the pandemic.
Okay, perfect. And I think that answers all my questions. But for those of you that are listening, those links are also in the description on the anchor.fm dashboard for this episode. So keep an eye out that. If you guys want to connect with her, learn more, get some fun tidbits, go check those links out. Kamala Devi, I thank you so much for coming on the show. I loved learning more about your business, how you're helping entrepreneurs and people in management. I think that your message is so strong, and it really resonated with me, just in the fact that you can tell that you were 100% and authentically owning who you are in your business, and that speaks volumes. So I just want to thank you for being on the show and taking time out of your day to join us today.
Thank you too, Krista. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Okay, you guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sign us off, but I appreciate everybody out there listening and supporting Women Going Big everywhere. You can find this episode on the Anchor dashboard. You can also find it at the Women Going Big website at womengoingbig.com. So until next time, this is Krista. I'm your host, and I'm going to go ahead and sign us off. Bye, everybody.